giving me wind and rain. You're some kind of butterfly.
Hello everyone, it's me. Today, I very much hope you are well. I've had a wonderful day. It is only 0 degrees out, but it was nice and sunny, and it wasn't very windy, and you could really tell that spring is on its way. Most of the snow has melted away in just, a short couple of days, so it's warmer off and on now. And I was out enjoying the weather today. So, today I'm going to talk about something that I've talked about on my channel off and on. Oh, I forgot to open something. I think since it's been about 2 years now. Hold on. It was March 1st, I think 2022. Hold on. Okay, I found it. So, it was March 1st, 2023. And I remember I didn't I didn't know how I was going to start, but I guess I'll just start off this way because okay, let me just give you this. So there was this part in the deposition of Corey Good where he says that his work and creations and the creations of others is benefiting people. They asked him why, and he said, well, because they've told him so and such. So what I'm doing today is I'm giving an example of how I benefited. And this is just, I'm using Nos Confunden and Claudio Nocelli, because he's the author, as an example, just because it was the most recent experience that I can remember and it's the freshest in my mind. Like, I just said it was 2022 at first, but it's actually been 2023. It seems a lot longer than it has been. I feel like I've been at this for a much longer time than it's been. So, okay, let me just start. So I explained what I was doing about the benefiting part because finding the Nuss Confunden map led me to writing my book, and it led me to who I am in this moment of now and today. Okay. All right. So this was, well, it was March 1st, but the thing is that it was the last day of February, just after midnight. It was quite late, so that kind of March 1st. Hold on, I can't see myself. Not that I need to. Okay, just to make sure the video is working still. So, I remember I was just about to go to bed, and I suppose I was in this stage of always searching. I was always looking for all the answers to the questions that I had about things that occurred, and it was just a time of searching or seeking. And I was just about to go to bed, and I opened YouTube to just check one last time. You never know, the aliens could have invaded. You never know. And it wasn't that. But what popped up on the algorithm, and I think I had watched Night God 333's channel previously because he had covered some, maybe, I can't remember directly, but I'm pretty sure he's covered stories about cryptids and paranormal stories, stories about aliens, extraterrestrials, or whatever. And so it was the channel Night God 333, and on the screen, all I saw was this fella's head, and then he had like it green screened behind him with his head in front, and with the Nos Confunden map behind him. I mean, I didn't know what that was at first, but I can show it to you. And when I saw it, I looked, and I mean, I wasn't really looking at the fellow, but I was looking at what was behind him that got my attention. It was this. And so the fellow was like right here, and there was this map. And I'm like, what is that? It's like, it looks like a giant cell, like a cell like we have inside our bodies. And I felt like, I don't know, I always see this, like a pie on the windowsill with the smell, something being drawn to it. I felt like a really strong, and I couldn't figure out why, but there was a very strong spiritual pull for me towards this map. And so I clicked on it. And I remember that night, I stayed up really late. I don't know if it actually says how late I stayed up, but because I wrote everything down. I'm going from, because I posted a video on this. This video was called I Found the Answer. But I know you're not going to believe me, because it was an answer that I was searching for. It's kind of funny because it was, I posted this video March 23rd, 2023, and it's March 17th, 2025. That's pretty close. But yeah, so March was a really powerful month for me back then, and it is the same in this year now, today. Let me just go over this for a second. Okay. So, at the time, okay, so I said that I had stayed up really late and I was watching, I think I even posted, if you go to this video, I'll link it below, of course. And if you go to this video, I've documented things pretty well, which I'm really glad I did. And I have the videos that I initially watched. But I watched a lot of them that night. And I went to bed at like 4 in the morning. So after that, let's see if it'll tell me on Amazon. No, I remember, because it was my now no longer best friend. And even then, she was still in my life at that point in 2023. So I took the photo of this video on the 9th. So I learned about it on the 1st, and I got this book on the 9th. I was really intent, but I didn't have the money for it at the time. I wasn't working, and I think Dixie passed away September 20. Sorry, I'm getting all confused. I'm trying to remember what my situation was. I mean, I know it's not that relevant. I mean, I was broke, okay? But because I guess I just manage my money better now. I don't really know. I can't remember. But I didn't have the money for it at the time. And it was crazy because I had sent Jenny some gifts. And it's not that I expected anything in return, but like, I think what I really wanted, to be honest with you, is like a card, maybe, because I wrote her a letter and everything. I just wanted to see her handwriting again, you know? Clearly, the situation that like with her, it comes up quite often, and it's difficult for me to deal with because like that was the one person my whole life who I thought I did have a family bond with, and it just, I don't know. Anyway, moving on. Sorry about that. Trying to focus. Sorry. So she brought me the book, and I read it, but well, this is it here. This is one I've got. And do you remember how I said that Claudio and Corey Good, have totally two different energies? They do. It's strange because this doesn't happen all the time, but Claudio's energy speaks for him to a degree. I mean, it's not like I'm an expert at this or anything. I've never met the man and I've never talked to him. But I felt like, and I mean, at the time when I first found it, I didn't even really understand astral travel. That's why I was saying I'm glad that I documented it the way that I did. Because the next video that I posted about that was really significant was like called, like, I think I found the answer, something similar. Hang on, I have to go back now. Let me see if I covered something here. There was little things along the way, okay? Let me just say this. So that opened my mind. When you watch this video that I first talked about, I know I might be going over going back and forth. I'm trying my best. I found the answer, but I know you're not going to believe me. I talk about the extra land dwellers because at that point, I think I had already read The Navigator. I had finished it, and I remember, yeah, so I wrote to my friends when I first learned about this book. This is what I sent to my friends when I found it. Wow, I made a big discovery. I don't think/feel this is just a story at all. I am very sure I just found something huge, and it explains extraterrestrials. There is more land beyond the Antarctic ice wall. I know this is a lot, but extraterrestrial actually means extra land dwellers. See, what I did was, at first I remember I was like, I separated these two words, extra and terrestrial. I looked them up separately. It turns out that means more land, right? Extraterrestrial actually means extra land dwellers, so people that live in the extra lands. They come from the outer colonies, and some of them are like our cousins. This deals with the breakaways where the breakaway civilizations went. I just sent 2 books. I don't know if you can see them. Oh, I sent books along with the messages. There is this map called the Map of the Universe by Nos Confunden. I don't know. You know what Nos Confunden means? They confused us. I do. I remember when I looked that up. Because when I first saw the title of it, I was like, Nos Confunden, I wonder what that means. And then I read they confused us. And I remember I laughed really hard about that. I thought that was clever. At the time, though, I didn't really understand what Claudio's work was. And I wholeheartedly believed at that point, as you can tell, that there was an ice wall. I think that, as like I said in my book about the whole flat earth, round earth theories, and any kind of theories like this, that it doesn't really much matter about it being this or that. I know it's important to some people, but hear me out when I say that what I feel is most important is your ability to adapt to change and perspective, and the perspective, or and a change with I get these 2 words I almost said convicted, confused, perception and perspective. So your outlook on how you see your reality. Because what I've come to learn is that it is true that your inner reflects the outer. I know that that might be difficult for some people to grasp because they think that there has to be this one thing for everybody. And in a way there is. But I don't want to go into too much of this. I just lost track because I knew that what I just said confused people because it's kind of contradicting. There's this material plane, but then there are other planes, material and then spiritual, seen and unseen. A lot of this has to do with feeling. Intuition is about feeling. When I saw that map, like a pie on the windowsill, it was something that I could sense, but it was a feeling to follow. I've been good with following my intuition a lot in my life. And I think and feel that if I didn't go through this process, it's almost like working out at the gym and working out different areas of your mind and your body, your heart, and soul, because they are all connected. Through making mistakes, or it was almost like with these different stages, I'm seeing layers being peeled off of my eyes. And more, I could see clearly. Oh, I didn't mean 666. Don't even go there. So I'm pulling the layers off of the whoop, 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 pulling the layers off of and more, I was having a clearer and clearer vision, okay, of what it is for me. And like I was saying, I think that might be one of the biggest conflicts we get into with this, is that we assume it has to be the same for everyone, when I feel it may be vastly different for everyone with some commonalities. Oh, big word. I know what that means too. Okay, where was I? So I thought there was a nice wall, but this really, what this did for me, because with the whole extraterrestrials thing, they were so far away and it was so foreign, and all these people were having so much to say about these different races that it was really confusing. I think a big part of them having let me see how I felt about it. Well, there was like this kind of trust thing, because if they've never been to Earth and they don't know what we're like, and but I think that in those early stages of how you would think you would interact with someone from another world, it's important to go through the stages of it to understand the perspective of someone else. So for me, thinking that they were literally just a hop, skip, and a jump away. Well, it's a little further than that, but it's a cute saying, isn't it? Um, it helped make them feel more relative, or basically like relatives, cousins. And then it also led me to think about, well, they are like our ancestors. It helped me go along these stages, and then eventually, it's incredible how much this has helped me along my journey, just by little things. Like I remember it was Claudio who posted the picture of this, but it didn't have this on it. It had no writing here. It just had the picture of the fire and ice with this. Now, of course, this is expressing the lower and the higher dimensions, okay? But you gotta go down to go up. That's what I was saying. You gotta go down to go up. Yeah. And then I found that this was called The Secret Teachings. I searched for the image search and I found this book. And then I got it. This was one of the best purchases I ever made. It's more so of an encyclopedia. So it explains to you what things are. Like, a lot of people have a misconception that the Egyptians worshipped the sun as like a god. That's not true. They worshipped the sun as a symbolic expression of the divine creator itself, this most high, the supreme being, as a visual representation, the life giver, the sun. But they did not worship the sun. And in this book, there's a really incredible chapter called, I don't even think I need to find it, it's called The Sun, a Universal Deity. And but it's not it's symbolic, it's a representative, you know? It's actually incredible because it talks about it having three bodies, about mind, body, soul, and all of that, like a mental, emotional. It's very cool. I don't know, I'm not an expert about it, but this is philosophical. It's for the mind. It's to help you think and to open your ability to be able to have expansive thought, to grow. So I jumped pretty far ahead, I think. Let me think for a second. Just give me a second. Okay. Well, I'm having a difficult time. Like, I can remember everything, but just I can't remember it in order. I had a paper before I moved from my old apartment. I'm pretty sure it's in one of those bins. In like this pink, wait, yeah, in this pink box. I thought it was maybe up on the TV stand over there, but no, I didn't take it out. So I'm pretty sure it's there. This is when I wrote down the dreams that I've had. I've talked about this one on my live. I'm going to tell you about it because it came to my mind and it is relevant because I had this dream long before I ever found this book and before I ever found the Initiates of the Flame. Let's see if I can bring it up because I actually emailed her about it. I emailed Elena Danan about this. Yeah, I did. I had a lucid dream about her, a very real lucid dream. And I have a few examples of this. I have a subconscious that I'm sure was my subconscious. I wrote it in my book. It has to do with David Wilcock. There's this one that has to do with Elena. And I've dreamt about Claudio. But this dream was so real and lucid that I still remember it as if it happened yesterday. And it amazes me, hang on. Maybe it's this one. It was July 20th, 2022. Good, I didn't tell it. Good, I didn't tell her my real name. Like, I told her Lacey Forbes, but I didn't give her my real name. I'm just going over. Anyway, but yeah. So, hold on. swear I know I told her. Yep. I had this dream once about you. It was this beautiful place with inside forest stuff. I didn't explain it very well, if that makes sense. Okay, so let me explain it to you. Let me just read this and I'll explain it to you again. Inside forest, if that makes sense. The floors were very polished and white. They were like this beautiful pearly white. It was these big squares too, almost like ceramic tile flooring. Gosh, it was really nice. Maybe even like beautiful granite, but it was like pearly white. And the floors were very polished and white, and I was hiding from you. I was behind a pillar or a tree, but they were pillars. It was such a short and fast lucid dream, and I saw you. This is me writing to her. You were wearing this long white, long sleeved, form fitting dress. It went to your feet. I didn't see your shoes. And you walked right by me, pretending not to see me. But I had this feeling you knew I was there. I could feel it. Okay? Wait. But I was too scared and intimidated, unsure of you, to be seen, so I didn't come out. And this is 100% true story. And a real dream I had in the last few months. So I had this dream back in 2022. Confirmed it here in this email. Still have this. So what it was I was hiding like this. Like here's the pillar, here's my hands on it, and I'm looking at her out the pillar like that, just like peeking, you know? And she walked in between these two sets of pillars. One, right? Like there was one here where I was, and there was one directly across, okay, these pillars. But they were all white, just like the floor. And then it had like this beautiful greenery that was in, like, I was hiding in between like that. I could see the greenery and stuff. That's why I was like, or maybe a tree, because there was this green stuff. But they were pillars. It was the same thing that I was hiding behind. And so she was walking down. That's how I saw the floor and everything, how shiny and clean it looked, and this pearly white floor. And how the blocks were. They were really large blocks, not like super big, but like not the small ones that we normally have like in our kitchens or whatever. And the greenery, there's like leaves and, like really nice. They were very deep green too, thick looking, healthy plant life. And it was nighttime. It was black all around us. Like up here was like the stars and space, but we were inside. It almost reminded me of, on Star Trek, on the spaceships when they have like that greenery area, so like the people can feel like they're kind of more in nature. Hi, Marv. Marv's over there squeaking. Hi, baby. Um, it kind of reminded me of that, and so I could see like that it was dark out. Anyway, she walked through here, through between these pillars and right past me, like I said. She was wearing this dress that, like I said, was form fitting, but it's the exact same kind of dress that like my green, purple, and blue one, that tight form fitting, really long one with the sleeves. Everyone really likes that one. That's one of my favorite dresses too. Um, and it's funny because I will interpret this afterwards, but I was gonna buy the white dress too. And I didn't, but I always regretted not getting it. But it looked wonderful on her. She looked amazing in it. And her hair was up in a ponytail at the top of her head, and she had a long ponytail, like the other girl, but not as long. Hers only went to about, I don't know, maybe just below, well, the bra is pretty high. Maybe like mid back, like right here. So her ponytail was high, but it went to about mid back. Okay, it wasn't as long as like my hair, or when I explained about seeing that girl, that blonde haired girl that I call Usa. I haven't seen her again. But anyway, as Elena was walking, and of course, like, I was feeling all kinds of things. Like I was saying, like I felt like unsure of her. I didn't know like if I could trust her, or like, or I was feeling these things in my emotional body and also having these thoughts. And this was really when like all of my bodies I think were coming together, because it led up to the point of where I had that dream where I was like, "Oh fuck, I'm dreaming." And then I ran for that door and I got too excited and I woke up, remember? Yeah. So your dream life does progress, but this is more of a dream. I think it was my subconscious speaking with me, but it also was telling me about something that was to come in the future. And you can dream the future, but for me, it was always my personal future. Like I don't dream about worldly things that would affect others. It mostly has to do with me, unless it was like that time that I had that lucid dream, which I expressed in one of my live streams where I saw my father die. I couldn't find out if he's actually died or not, but I had a dream and I talked about it on my live where I was behind him in spirit form. But I was a bit further away, and he was just like kind of happy going to the kitchen. He was just like walking to his kitchen or something, and then he kind of just stopped and he started like shaking, and he fell right backwards, boom, right on his back, and this white stuff started coming out of his mouth, and he was like trembling. So I don't know if that's like a stroke or an aneurysm or what, I don't know, but yeah. And I don't dream like that very often. I know that's kind of it was an awful dream. And I don't dream like that very often. So I don't know if that one had anything to it or not. I did try to check if he was still alive, and I couldn't find out. It Yeah, I don't even want to talk about that at this time. Please don't go and look for them. We will talk about that. That is a very serious situation. I had to move all the way to California. Okay. I ran for my life. So they found me at my group home and I ran for my life. Okay. So that is a video that we probably should talk about. But I feel like even if I do, that someone's going to do this. Even though I am prepared, I've already mentally prepared for pretty much everything that can happen. I really do not want this. Okay. Um, these people are very dangerous. It's also very dangerous to me and my health and safety, okay? Yeah. My overall health and safety, my mental, my emotional, and my physical safety, okay? This is very serious. That's why I don't really talk about it. And I have like a flip-floppy stomach because it makes me a bit nervous, I won't lie. And I know that being on this public platform and stuff like that is already risky. You know what I mean? But it was a risk that I was willing to take, you see? So sometimes when I think about that, it's a little bit overwhelming. Okay, so let's go back to a happier subject. Right, about my dream. So when I said that she was pretending not to see me, she was walking through and she was side-eyeing me, like going like this, but like looking at me like that. If she's seen me looking at her, she probably would have felt it. Now, if you were to ask her, which I don't suggest that you do, do you remember, seeing Lacey in the spirit realm? She'd probably say no, because this also felt like it was my subconscious talking to me. That maybe, in fact, she has seen me online. This isn't something where is that thing where people think that they're so important that everybody knows about them and it's all about them and stuff. It's really not about that. Okay, whatever that shit is, it's really not that. I've explained that, I admired Elena Denon and I always wanted a friend like her. Of course, I always dreamed about having a mom like her. And, it's really shitty how things have turned out. And I don't want hate towards any of these people, okay? I've said that multiple times. I'd really like to help them. even if they don't want that, it might be, a difficult task, but we're going to try. So, um, because yeah, we shouldn't be crucifying anyone this way. Um, and that's why I've decided to do what I'm doing today, so that I can show you. And I mean, I could do this with others. I just have to think a little bit harder. I still have some unresolved feelings about David Wilcock now and Elena Tanan. I never followed Corey Good in that kind of a way. I never bought any of his material, or I only watched Cosmic Disclosure. So, let me see, and maybe a little bit on his Spear Being Alliance channel, but I just I just wasn't into it. I always had, like I said, a strange feeling about Corey Good, and it wasn't a good one. Um, hmm. So yeah, and of course, I'm pretty sweet on Claudio. So, and we will explain this. 'Cause remember, I said his energy speaks for him, right? Oh, because I prayed. I said, to my heavenly mother and father, I was like, please don't let this man be handsome, because I'm toast. And well, I remember when I saw his picture. He's fucking gorgeous. He's breathtaking, and I considered, like, maybe he's an extraterrestrial. I remember this. I remember this, that I really thought that he could quite possibly be an extraterrestrial. And what's funny is that now, today, there are people that think that about me. And they had said so, have said so in the comments and stuff like that. And I've had to tell people, no, no, I'm human born. I've been here just like you. There's no difference between us and stuff. So it's funny how these things reflect. I only read, I know I'm skipping all over the place. I just want to try and get everything out that I can. No, you know what? I've got anxiety. That's why I keep, okay. So when I saw him, he took my breath away, and I hadn't felt anything in a really long time. And I mean that. I thought there may be something wrong, because I had had such a terrible heartbreak, and I went through all that I did. And I want to talk about that another day, because it is something that's passed in my consciousness. And I guess I can say, even though it's hard, I'm grateful for the experience, because it's helped me become who I am today, and to be able to understand myself in the way that I do, and love myself in the way that I do. Because really, what I went through was a very extreme and painful lesson of learning unconditional love, not only for other people, but most importantly for myself. Because once you have this for yourself, it almost, I don't know, permeates through you and generates out to others. It's just a natural thing that happens. I don't really know how to explain it, but that's just how it goes. For me, anyway. Uh, right. I digressed again. I hadn't felt anything in a really long time. And I was worried that, you know, because once you know what being in love is like, once it's gone, it's a pretty empty feeling. And I was always worried that I would never feel that way again. But at that point, I really thought there might be something wrong with me. And I know this kind of sounds funny, but I question, I'm like, am I gay? For real. Because everybody that I would see, because it's not about looks, right? Like I was saying, there's something more. I think the soul and the energy within speaks for a person. And I just really felt like I was in a land all alone by myself. I'm not trying to insult anybody or make them feel like they are not good enough or not worthy. Because it's a really rare thing for me. Um, even in like, but I mean, I'm not gay. Just to clarify that, okay? Um, when it comes to that, just let me tell you, in case you're wondering my view, if I were to ever, and this might really make people angry, but I don't care. It's the truth. If I ever were to meet a woman who I felt this way for, where I loved her, she was beautiful, and I wanted to spend my life with her, then I just may, you know? Um, I don't know. Like this is what I've always said. And I remember me and Jenny used to joke about this because everything about being gay is great as a woman with another woman, except for the fact that I'd have to touch her hoo hoo. So I don't think that I'm gay. But I like the idea of all the things that two girls could do together except for like the sex part. So definitely not gay. But I considered, because there had been such a long time where I felt nothing, like looking at people and being like, oh, you know, it wasn't so much about being desperate for a partner, but seeking out this, because of course, I've dated, I've had different partners in my lifetime. I was engaged at one time many years ago when I lived in California. So I do have quite a bit of experience with relationships, and I think what it came down to is that I knew what I was searching for, a certain kind of person, and I always said that I wanted somebody who was just like me. And I mean, not in every aspect, but the most important aspects there is, because I always craved a man that I could talk to about these things. Like, ever since I was a little girl, I had those thoughts about, and I've written it in my book where, and I'm not trying to sell the book's not for sale at this time, and there's a reason for that. We'll talk about it later. But I wrote in my book, crap, I lost my train of thought. I lost it. I wrote in my book. Oh, come on. Oh well. Um, this is not an easy thing. Like when I get anxiety, of course my mind is going to do this. But sometimes, the reason how I knew I was brave is because even though I was scared sometimes, I did things anyway, and that's kind of what this was about today because it is quite risky, you know. Um, and the topics that I talk about, like, it's really difficult to not be looking. I mean, crazy is just a word that means crazy is something you just don't understand yet. That's what it means. Because at certain points of this, I definitely thought certain things were crazy. And I didn't even know about astral travel. You know, it was because of the lands of Mars, where Claudio says about where this information comes from. And I didn't even read this whole thing. I read that part, and then I remember that, where is it? Astral travel, page 5. As we receive more information, we go contrasting with other people who confirmed that all this was a hidden truth. Astral travel, people who reached high positions, and blah blah blah, where the information comes from. And I'm like, astral travel? And at that point, I'm going to tell you exactly, I remembered who it was. I couldn't remember who this was, but I know I've said this before. My experience was, I wrote this in my book about astral travel. My experience with that was, I remember there was this girl. Do you remember the girl they used to call the human Barbie? Her name's Valeria, something or other. Her and I are a lot more alike than I thought. Not because of the Barbie thing, but who she is today. She even said she can't find anybody like her because there's too many magicians. And I laughed. It's true. But she only speaks Russian. I don't think she can speak English, which sucks, but I can't speak Russian, so anyway, it was her. And I remember her doing, like, she was in a documentary or something about astral travel. And listen, I don't mean this to be disrespectful. It was just extremely confusing because this woman, she's dressed like she's going to a Victoria's Secret runway show and she's going to bed. She had lingerie on, shoes, full makeup on, jewelry, nails, the whole deal. And I'm like, where is she astral traveling to and who is she going to see in that? So it kind of was just like, kind of freaked me out, put me off about it. I remember that happening. And then that was it for astral travel. I remember finally who that came from. And I found her channel recently. Again, you have to listen to her in the captions because she speaks in her native language of Russian. But, yeah, the magicians. Anyway, uh, where was I with this? So, right, with the astral travel, I probably got to, is it page 15 or chapter 15? No, hold on. Page 15, chapter 3, The Red Planet. So, when I was a little girl, I was at my grandmother's house at like a holiday gathering. Can't remember which one it was, but the family was together. And I was watching the news, and it was in the 90s when they had sent those probes to Mars. Do you remember that? I was born in 85, and I was probably about 12, 11 or 12, guessing? Between 10 and 12. Anyway, I saw Mars on the TV, and they were talking about the probes and stuff that they had sent. And I turned around to my entire family, and I expected everybody to know this, like it was common knowledge. And I went, Mom, there used to be people on Mars, but they blew themselves up. And everyone started laughing. I was like, oh my God, that's not funny. Like, and I was so confused because, like, they were telling me, oh, that's not true. That'd make a good story. You should write books and things like that. But I didn't make it up. It was something that I just knew intuitively inside of me, but I didn't know how. So when I read that in his book, and I had never read anything like that before, I actually had quite a bad panic attack about it. That's not his fault or anything. It's just the fact that I didn't know that's what that meant. And from what I remember of it, yeah, they probably would have blown themselves up rather than surrender. That was the type of feeling it had, okay? So there is in the video, I think it has to do with my artwork pictures, which one of them, but I put it in there where I talk about this. And that always really stuck with me. So that was pretty significant. I'm trying to remember after that. Because it got to a point when I realized that there was probably not an ice wall and that it was all spiritual. And that hit me really hard. Yeah. And I remember I made a video about it. It hit me so hard that I was ready through the afterlife right then. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And that's what I mean about the dangers of it and how it can cause both pain and this benefit. But what if I just wasn't a strong enough person? You see what I'm saying? And it hit me that hard that I did do something drastic. You see what I'm saying? That's kind of the thing that motivated me. It's not that I'm angry or want revenge against any of these people. It's just that like I said, I believe that there's quite possibly a better way to do it. If that's, not that I think I know best, but I don't know. Because that was pretty awful. So, let's see. It was like I didn't read the Lands of Mars. I didn't read the Lands of the Custodians. I mean, they're brand new. Like, you can see that the binding hasn't even been opened that much. Um, I think it was because I remember specifically, like, I didn't want to read about other civilizations. I've said this before because I would rather meet these people in person. Although I have to say that I was impressed, like, with Claudio's work. He made a really cool creation here, and I really enjoyed it. I love his way of thinking. You know, it's really great. And it was like reading The Navigator That Crossed the Ice Wall. I mean, Ice Walls. I had never really read a story like this before, and I remember how into it I was. And I mean, it's one of the best stories I've ever read. Like, as something that was new to me. I at that point I had never read like the Iron Republic or what was the other? I can't think of them all off the top of my head. What's the one about the Inner Earth Voyage by Emerson? George Ellis Emerson. Isn't that it? Yeah. I had never got those, but because of reading this, it opened me up to so many more ideas and ways of thinking. Because before this, nothing could have gotten me to look at the concept, even the idea of a flat Earth or something different than what I was told it was. And if I hadn't have done that, I would have never um, gotten to the point of figuring out the seven going up and seven going down, and then looping them all together. And it's really quite extraordinary looking back on it. Um, just what clicking on one video will do by following that intuitive pull. Now, I don't know. This series for me was almost like I was seeing a guiding light, even though I always seen Source as my guide. Oh, I see the connection. So it was Source that was leading me to that. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. An expression of Source, a new interpretation of the story that I needed to hear. Mm. Sorry, I'm going through it in my head and then talking out loud. But I mean, it inspired so much, and it led to the creation of my own book. It did. If I hadn't have found that, I mean, that was really the inspiration. I, come on, don't be a wiener. I daydreamed a lot about, going over the ice wall and people that I would meet there and, stuff like that. And I think that because of these daydreams, it would generate an energy, a power that inspired me to make my own creation. You see? I don't know if this is inappropriate or not, but if you were to ask me who's the daddy of this book, it would be Claudio. Because it came through because of that creation. Those two energies to create something. You see what I'm saying? Mm. So I've made that joke to myself before, but if I don't know. I suppose like in a big cycle, because I didn't even know what the deal was with that dream that I had about David Wilcock. And I dreamt about him after I read the Ascension Mysteries. And all it was is that I saw him and I'm like, holy crap. I was lucid and conscious. I'm like, whoa, that's David Wilcock. But I knew it looked like David on the outside. But it wasn't David on the inside. This was just a shell that looked like David. It wasn't scary or hollow or empty. There was something familiar and powerful on the inside of it. And because of the guardian the guardian of the threshold and the doppelganger material, I figured out that that was my subconscious looking like David Wilcock. It's me, but my subconscious reflecting as David. The reason why that happened is because I remember I read that book it was 500 pages and I read it in a week. And I hadn't read a book in many years. Not to interpret it, I read it so fast and I was very proud of myself. And I mean, I was so tired after I finished the book. I laid down, I took a nap, and I had this dream. And it was in like this white space. There was nothing else there except me and him. And he had such a peaceful, kind, I'm proud of you look on his face. And I think that even if I was today to sit down with him and tell him this story, I truly believe that he would appreciate it and that it would touch his heart. He'd be glad to know it, you know? Whether you think that or not, I do feel it. He's still in there. Oh my god, I just got emotional. I was gonna cry. Yeah, he is. He's still in there. We're gonna help them. Even though they think they don't need it. They do. I don't know. People have to help themselves, but just watch. In that Truth, Love, and Justice video, there's a reason why I put that moon healing escalation at the end. If you didn't figure that out, that's very symbolic. Okay, where the hell was I? Oh, so in that dream with David, who is really me, it's my subconscious, because I was proud of myself, but I know that if I told that to David, he would also be proud of me. That I read a book like that and blah, 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 blah. I know this. And so this, David walked over, and all that happened was like this warm, I'm proud of you feeling, really nice smile on his face. And he just went like this. A pat on the back, you guys. Like, literal pat on the back. And it was so nice. It was so nice. And I never actually thought that was David Wilcock. I thought that was the Asura as David Wilcock. Turns out it kind of was because of the blue eyes. You can read this in the story, okay? One day, maybe the book will figure that out later. But again, this is about your subconscious. Like I was saying, there's different types of dreams. And that's one of them. Working with your subconscious, okay? This is why I said, like, even though I mentioned having these dreams about people, because I'm about to tell you the ones about Claudio, um, it's really uncommon for other people. I mean, they might, and that's extraordinary, to remember the experience, you know? It may happen more if a person is astral traveling to you purposely. But then the person that experiences that visitation can never quite be sure if that's what happened. If it was the subconscious or it was astral travel. And so this is what I'm going to tell you next. And I am taking a big risk with this. Even just admitting the fact that I have a crush on Claudio, I am actually shocked and surprised. Seriously. And I'm proud, actually. I'm fucking proud of you. For real. That no one has tried to catfish me as Claudio. Make any kind of fake accounts or anything. It wouldn't work anyway, okay? Because I wouldn't accept that unless it was him face to face. So I'm not stupid. But like even over camera, and I would have to be pretty sure because you can also do these fake face things or whatever. So I might be a little suspicious. But okay, for real. No, that's a. Why are they calling all weird times of the day? They must be like, oh, maybe we'll get her at after supper when she's home off work eating. Assholes. So rude, those telemarketers. All right. So yeah, because like I was saying about how I'm not sitting here thinking like I'm so important that these people know who I am. In fact, it's most likely if it's not for my gut feeling that they probably don't know who I am. But I feel that both Elena and Claudio know who I am. I know, that's crazy. And it gives people ammunition too, right? I'm not worried about it because I don't think that he would do this. I don't feel either. But it gives people ammunition, not only one, to laugh at me. I mean, they already do that anyway. But two, it gives these people ammunition against me to be like, oh, but that's why I'm saying, like, I'm not thinking that because of that dream that Elena was actually there and da 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 da. No. And like I've just explained to you about the whole astral travel thing and da da da. So I just hope that we're very clear about the situation. Because this is risky and, like, it was just really nice to have feelings again, to have a crush on somebody again, to, you know, just even imagine that there is somebody like him out there, because I didn't actually think that there was. Like I was saying, when I was a little girl, oh yeah, I remember where I friggin' lost my train of thought when I said about my book. I remember it now because I wrote in my book about how when I was a little girl and I was playing Final Fantasy 7, 8, 9, 10, I would think to myself, these worlds are probably out there somewhere. Now it sounds wild, but what if by creating them here, somewhere in this gigantic universe, we may never see it, it creates itself out there somewhere? You know? Isn't that cool? Just the idea of it. That there are. Oh, yeah, I have a great example of it. I scare the cat. Oh, no. There, Marv. Oh, that was the water thing. The humidifier. What am I looking for? You think there's life on other. Wait, how does it go? Oh. Is it possible there's life on other cells? No way. You're crazy. But look how many cells are around those cells. This is what I'm talking about. You see? Look at them all. And it's endless. Look at them all. All the worlds right there. Worlds within worlds. Look at them all. And that's what I saw when I saw this. Like a giant cell. Isn't that cool? So, like, it all came together, you know? So, like I said, Claudio could be married. He could have kids. He could be with somebody. And all the other options, right? I don't know. Some things are scary. But, I really like him. And I know it's a bit weird. And maybe some people just cringed a bit, but hear me out. This is risky. This is risky, and let me tell you, the alarm is going off. People are going to think you're fucking crazy. They already do, though. I'm sure there's a certain percentage that already do. But if I don't say anything, I'm going to regret it. I am. And I'm 39 years old. I'm too old to be afraid of not risking it all for love. Oh my God. I'll be right back. I need to consult with the Oracle. Well, oh, sorry. I'm not doing that on purpose. I had to consult with the Oracle about 4 times. I thought it was good. Hold on. If you don't know what that means, ask me in the comments below. I'll tell you. It's kind of an inside joke for the people that join me, between me and the people that join me in my live streams. So, again, as you can tell, this is something that makes me quite nervous. And it's not that these are the times when you find out how brave you are. Like I said, there have been things that I've done before. Being afraid, it's just, I think I'd like to express that what makes me feel fear is not even how, it has nothing to do with Claudio. In fact, I will get to that part. It has to do with, like I said, this makes me look quite crazy. And I already have all this other stuff stacked up against me, including my CPTSD and the fact that I smoke weed. So, I mean, well, let me just get it over with. Like, but what I was going to say, so even if Claudio were to see this, even if he did know who I was and found out, what I'm about to say, I truly believe and feel that if he were to respond to it, he would be a gentleman about it. He wouldn't hurt my feelings on purpose. And if he wasn't interested and wasn't available, or whatever the case is, he would just tell me. And I mean, I'm fully aware that I have been at this for a couple of years now, and I have tagged him in a few of my posts. I know this seems a bit weird, and that's okay if you feel that way. Um, it wasn't obsessive or anything, and at one point, it wasn't really all that long ago. Let me see when it was that I emailed them, because I ended up emailing Unconditional, the email that they have, and I sent him my book. Contacto. I love that. So I wrote to him on let's see, November 6th, 2024. That's when I finally did it. And yeah, if, I'm aware, like, if, I guess he would have said something by now, right? It's cool though, because it's been really nice to at least have some kind of feelings, you know? But let me just tell you about these dreams, and then let me finish what I'm going to say. The first dream I had about him, it sucks now that I don't have the paper because I wrote down all the dates. Um, I remember I was lucid and conscious, and I could very much feel myself in my spiritual body. But I popped into this space. I had drawn it. Where did... Because I tried to do this before. Just one more minute. Sorry. Okay. So I was tried to do a video like this before. All right. So I was about here on this in this space, but where it was, we were like in this large backyard. There was this beautiful grass, and the hill kind of went down and then out. You know what? In some people's yards, like, to divide the yard. So here's the yard, and then it has like this little slope hill, and then there's a line of trees, and then it goes down the other side into the next person's yard. That's what it was like. And so I saw Claudio, and he was, I'll show you how he was lying. I don't have my phone here, but it doesn't matter. So he was, ouch, my hair. Ouch. Ugh, this is why I don't like having it out. So he was lying back like this on that hill, and he was wearing what was it? It had red here on the collar of it. It was a t-shirt. It had red here, and then it had red sleeves, and it was a white t-shirt here. And he had on beige, khaki-like pants, but they were those pants that only go to the knees, like, they were like, not all the way. Some guys wear shorts that just go all, like, to the knees here. And so there were, like, these camel-colored, like, but the lighter, like the khaki-colored shorts like that. And he had no shoes or anything on his feet. And he was lying back, and he was looking at his phone like this, and reading something on his phone. And that's just how I saw. So, my stupid little drawing, it's so bad. But there he is. It was drawing him there. So he's looking at his phone. And there are the trees there. There's like this line of trees, these beautiful trees. But they kind of had they kind of have the quills that hang down. Like, so that the tree wasn't like with big leaves, it was like needles. But they all hung down. towards the ground. That's why I tried to make them kind of look like the fir trees, but it only it only went to about here, and then the trunk was bare down here. So these aren't like the Christmas tree kind. It was kind of like these quilly things, and they were quite heavy, but they were nice looking. And so there was a row of those. Then he was on this hill, like I said, and it goes slopes down and into the yard. He didn't notice me at first. And then when he did, he was quite surprised. He was like, "Oh, you know?" And and so this is kind of funny. So I flew over because you think move. You don't actually move your feet or anything. I just thought it. And so, well, I flew over and I got right on top of him and I tried to kiss him. God, I can't believe I'm doing this. And he moved away like, oh, oh, oh. And he rejected me. He did. But he seemed so shocked and surprised. I mean, not that I'm like, feel bad about being rejected or whatever. Of course, I was the tad bit insulted. But, and then, oh God. I asked him if he wanted the reach around. But I need you to know, I didn't know what that really meant. But I swear that's what I said. Like, what's the matter? You don't want to kiss me? Well, you don't want me to give you the reach around? Yeah. And so I really don't know what that means. I think I kind of do. So, do you remember how I said before that normally every single guy I like is either evil, taken, or gay? Well, subconsciously, I was thinking, well, he's got to be one of those three things. And so, well, he wasn't evil, and I definitely couldn't deal with the fact I was jealous of Helen Morris. I couldn't deal with the fact of him being taken. So it was easier for me to accept him being gay. Listen, there's nothing about his looks or anything like that that caused this. This was a me thing. It always happens like this. Any guy I'm really into, they turn out to be evil, taken, or gay. The gay thing, to my actual memory, has only happened once. And I had no idea that guy was gay. And he worked at the bank, but it's not like I just had like a crush. I thought, well, he kind of actually looked like Clark Kent. To be honest with you, Superman, but as like Clark Kent, he had that kind of a look. But gay. So, but he was really nice about it. Um, yeah, I think he might be bi though, and just he was with a man for real because he gave the weirdest mixed signals. He was flirting with me and stuff, and you know, it was pretty bizarre when I finally confronted him about it and asked him if he'd like to go out sometime. This was many years ago, by the way, many years ago, because I'd given up on men, and I can't believe it. Yeah, I looked up with the reach around one. I was like, oh fuck, that's not what I meant. But I don't know. I honestly don't know. I don't know. And they're like, I'm not insinuating at all. I don't want to start a rumor or anything. This is why I never really talked about it because this This is so weird. Sometimes dreams are weird. So that was the first dream I ever. And after that, I was like, "What? You don't want me to give you the reach around?" I woke up. Let me tell you that I thought, probably thinking, "Well, what did you think the reach around was?" Well, I thought it was like, I know this is like just as it was. It's pretty dirty. I thought, oh my god, I thought it was just like laying behind your partner, like kind of reaching around and playing with, the dingleberries. You know what I'm saying? I mean, not his dingleberries on his bum, but I meant like, fucking dick. I meant his like stick and berries. You know what I mean? So that's what I thought it meant. And because that's like if you're spooning, technically, like you're reaching around, right? So there was that dream. The second dream, I was sitting on a giant, like not a big rock, but like a large rock, and he was sitting on another rock, and we were on this beach, and there was woods in the back behind him. I could see woods further back, but I could also see the water washing up beside us. So we were quite close to where like the waves were coming in. We were sitting on these rocks, and he was talking to me and trying to tell me something. But I was so excited to see him. It's like, oh my god, it's Claudio. Look at him. And he was trying to tell me something important, but I couldn't focus on what it was. The third one, I just remembered something. There's a video where I talk about the astral travel. I told everybody that I got a job. And then, do you remember when I talked about somebody woke me up for work and they said my name 3 times? Do you remember that? Well, I didn't tell you who it was. And I mean, I wanted to, but I know how crazy it sounded. But it was his voice. I know. It was his voice. Now, it could have been some entity or whatever, but as difficult as this been, I'm ready to tell you, yeah, it was his voice. This might be the thing that wrecks me. I know. This is really risky. But I'm willing to take the risk because it is worth it. And I'm tired of sitting around wondering, what if, you know? Because the way that it feels tells me I should. Meow, come here, Murph, where are you? Come here. Come here, meow, meow, Murph. What's the matter? Oh, there she is. What's the matter? Come here. Come here. What's the matter? Come here. What are you doing? Come here, sit down. What are you doing back there? Just want to lay there? Okay, I'll pat you. So, there. That was his voice that woke me up. And he said my name 3 times. And it was like he was right there in my ear. And I woke up like, oh, and like, it didn't scare me, but it startled me because it sounded like someone was talking to me. I know it makes me look like, crazy. I know. And for the first time today, someone called me schizophrenic. And I was like, good. Because I remember somebody calling Claudio schizophrenic. And I defended him, saying, no, he's not. And now, if he wants, we can be schizophrenic together. If he This is me just throwing it out into the universe and possibly publicly embarrassing myself. Whatever. So that was all that happened on that beach dream. Then, oh, there's been times where I felt like, and I don't know if this was the spirit realm doing this for me, or I felt like I had a helper. Someone who was supporting me, but didn't want to interfere in my progress. And I was aware of it. So the next dream I had was really interesting. It reminded me a bit, only because he was wearing a white shirt. So I popped up in this place. It reminds me a bit of the one with Elena I meant, because of the white shirt. Only because of its color, because of what white symbolizes. Not only purity, but it can be coldness too. If you read up the color white and what it symbolizes, it'll tell you that. Loneliness, coldness, I think it says. Anyway, so I pop up in this place and I was lucid and conscious, and who do I see but Claudio? And he's standing in front of me, and he's standing to the side. And one of the things I noticed in this dream, though, is that he was taller than me, and I was looking up at him. As I thought about it over a while, I thought that it could represent, like, it doesn't matter about his height, but short, small, whatever, I don't care. But it symbolized spiritually that he was more advanced, you see? And I could feel this. That in certain ways, especially with like the astral travel stuff, and I could just feel it, that it was representing something different. Oh, so in this dream here, he had his hair up, and I had never seen him, ever. The only time I had ever seen a picture of him, ever, where's the navigator? Oh, here it is. I've only seen this photo here. That one's really small. This one's better. I've only seen that one. Okay? But he had his hair as if he had taken an elastic and just kind of went like this and put it up so that it was just sitting on the back of his head. And guys with long hair will do that. Yeah, so he had his hair half up. On the beach, it was like it was in the picture you just seen. And then when I'm talking about him now with the white t-shirt, when he was in front of me, and he had on like these brown sleep pants, and they kind of looked like soft or silky, like maybe, I don't know, they weren't like cotton, I don't think, and they had a waistband with, tie, you know tie on them, but they were loose, and he had no shoes on, his bare feet. And so he was standing to the side of me, and his hair was so curly. That's one of the things I noticed, that his hair was very curly. And it just and I remember there was like one curl sticking out. Like it didn't look bad, but his hair was very predominantly curly. One curl was like sticking out at the top. But he was standing to the side, And the same kind of with Elena, but I got a different feeling. It was, I got this feeling he wanted to look at me, but that he didn't want to be rude. And then I realized much later that I astral travel naked. So I was naked. But he was turned to the side, and I interpret this as gentlemanly behavior. Like, him staring directly at me is very, like, rude. Most people would say, well, didn't your mother teach you better than that? Well, clearly it was indicating that, subconsciously saying that he was a gentleman about it, right? This is just my interpretation. And then there was this man hysterically laughing. This is how I figured out that I must have been naked and I probably looked funny. And I was really excited to see him. And I remember I was like, hey, like I just fucking was smiling so hard, that I was smiling as big as I could because I was so excited to see him. And there was this fellow laughing, and his laugh was so deep and loud that it was contagious. And there was lots of people laughing, but they weren't like laughing at me. They were just laughing because, like, it was like joyful laughter. There was nothing mean about this, okay? And he disappeared. And I was like, oh, where did he go? And then he came from behind. He was behind me and put his arm around this way. And then I felt myself being pulled backwards, but then I woke up. It's like, so we went somewhere or something. I don't know. There's a reason I'm telling you all of this, okay? So the last one. Oh, yeah. This is it. Yeah. So I was in this house. I told you guys this before. I was in this house and it seemed like there was like a get together, like a house party going on. There was quite a few people there, but not super packed. And I was upstairs in this room and I was talking with Claudio, and I was sitting on the side of the bed and he was sitting in front of me. But I don't know, I was in a strange state, like really childlike. I don't know, because when he asked me a question, my response was, and because I've explained this to you previously, I was like, oh, it's okay that you're gay. I still love you. Like, and I was saying that, like, I still accept you, like, we can be friends, blah, blah. And he goes, gay? Not super mad. He was surprised. He goes, gay? And then he disappeared. See, I couldn't tell certain parts because I don't want to start that kind of a rumor. This is just in my head, and I explained to you where it came from. Evil taken gay. Okay? He disappeared, and I panicked because I realized, like, I must have hurt his feelings. And so I ran out of the room and I asked somebody, like, hey, have you seen Claudio? And they're like, oh, he left. And I ran out the door and I was just screaming his name. Claudio! Claudio! I was screaming his name. When I woke up, my heart was pounding, my fucking throat hurt. Oh, man. And I haven't seen him since. Yeah. And so, like, here's my thing that I'm thinking. And I know this is probably, maybe by far, the craziest thing I have ever done. Yeah. But that's the thing. We're in physical bodies. A lot of this has to do with, if not everything, feeling. The secret is feeling. Neville Goddard, did he talk about that? I think so. I didn't read any of that. I'm not trying to show off or anything. I kind of always knew, and maybe this right here is to prove it to myself. So, I mean, like I was saying, it's been like for the past 2 years or so, or however long it's been whenever I said I started this, that, he's been on my mind. And I've wondered, I mean, it was always a hope that Matt would lead me to something more, but I just always wondered, if he'd like me back. I'm such a chicken. I remember once in one of my live streams, someone said, when I talked about Claudio a little bit, they said that they thought he would like me too. And of course, that was really nice to say, but it almost made me sad. I think it did, and I was like, oh, let's just not talk about it. It's not that I don't think that I'm good enough or anything like that. It's just, I haven't really had the best of luck with love. So, I don't know. There isn't anyone I want to be schizophrenic with other than him. And that's why I said the other day that I was just kind of done with men and I didn't want them to bother me because I know this is crazy and it may I just don't think that my soul would ever be happy unless, I had someone that I felt this way for. It's somebody who I've never met and who quite possibly may not even know I exist. But I would rather have it this way and just maybe even live the rest of my life just crushing on him rather than being with somebody who I'm not compatible with and who isn't right for me, you know? I know it seems weird because a lot of guys kind of get all up in their feelings when they hear me talk about stuff like this. Like, I even had a neighbor who I went to church with, um, because of the community, right? I explained that before. Um, and he got all upset at me when I would talk about Claudio and how I liked him. And, he accused me of lust and stuff. And it has nothing to do with that because I liked him before I ever saw him. You know, I felt this magical person, this magical man. I knew it was a guy, but I didn't know what he looked like. But I definitely found or felt his magic before I ever saw him. And I guess that's something that I always, try to or kind of hoped and dreamed of, to find my tuxedo mask. And yeah, you know, some people might judge me as being a hopeless romantic and childish or whatever, but I always knew there was a male version of me out there, like a counterpart, someone who was made for me, and I'm still looking. I mean, well, not really, because, well, I'm kind of hoping it's him. Seriously. And, but if I never say it, then And I think it's kind of been a mixed signal. Like, do I like him? Do I not like him? You know, it was difficult figuring out what his creation really was. And I watched as over time, you know, he put the warning about his material being for spiritual education and all of that, because that wasn't always the case. So I don't know. But I think that's it. And it took me an hour and 40 minutes. But I gotta try to post it. So I guess the point of it is we'll see what happens, you know? But I just had this feeling that I needed to do this. Even if I was afraid that I held it back for so long already. I was so mad that I was jealous over a ghost, by the way. I just couldn't get over that for the first time. I'm jealous of a woman and she's not even alive. That that was quite the kicker. But it was good, you know. It taught me a few things about myself. But anyway, I'm starting to get the regrets. And it's just because of my fear. So we'll see. I think that I've said everything that I wanted to say. I think so. I think that's good. This one's a doozy. Like I said, this is really. But you only live once. I'm 39, and, well, I guess I'll just have to have faith. Even in the fact that hopefully people won't be too cruel and harsh about it. And maybe they'll get on the let's see what happens train with me instead of just hoping I fail. Because wouldn't that be something? See, the thing about it is, too, oh yeah, I'm glad I remembered this. If, say, he did astral travel to see me, it kind of makes me question my sanity. Like, don't think for a second that I didn't process the fact that this could be part of my mental illness and some type of delusion that helps me to continue on in life. All right? I'm totally self aware of all of it, that it could be. And that's what I'm saying. Like, if he did, I'd really like to know. You know, don't go and bother him about it. But let's just see what happens. You know? Because Even if he were to ask me, like, if you like me so much, well, why did you expose my work, my creation? Why would you tell people about, what I posted on my Telegram with him and the nose swab thing? And I'd say, well, I do like you and I would love to get to know you, and I can't say that it was an easy thing for me to do because it wasn't, but it was the right thing to do and I had to. And it wasn't to hurt them or to take away their money, but it was because it's most likely the truth. Okay? And that's why I had to. So, I don't know. I hope they can all forgive me because I'd really like to see us, honest to God, I've said this before, I'm even willing. Jesus, you hear this? Uh, I'm even willing to accept in Corey Good. Yeah. But we all have to unify together and get on the same page. I don't know if they're going to do that. If all of these people really want the golden age of truth, why the F are they doing this? That isn't the truth. The truth is that I have a crush on somebody that probably doesn't know I exist. But I was brave enough to tell the truth and be genuine about it anyway. I realize that this is why. If we were to all unify together, drop our ego, drop our pride, drop this, because I don't even have this. I don't want to be number one. I just want this to be done and over with and this war over. Drop the need to be number one, the number one best-selling author, the person that has to be on every fucking TV show. Come on. Please. But out of all of them, I have faith that Claudio will do the right thing. He will. Eventually. He will. He will. Especially if he sees something like this. He will. I I feel like with all of us, me, Elena, Claudio, David, we've all experienced, and not that other people haven't, but with this whole experience, with these extraterrestrials, things like this, let's say, this whole soul school initiation journey, okay? It's a spiritual thing, but it's extremely difficult. And I think that the pain that it causes, um, well, it may do exactly what it did to me at a certain point where, well, because he is aware about the resets, right? I mean, where is that line? Is it in this one? I'm sure it's in this one where it talks about the resets. And it has every so many years. I'm sure it's this one. Yeah, it is, right there. So, like, without stirring the shit pot too much about this, I mean, so are you gonna just help people hope that they figure it out like I did? Or what about the people that just forever sit and wait to find the ice wall that isn't there? And they spend 30 years looking at stuff from Russia or this or that or wherever Antarctic Quest. See what I mean? This held back the golden age of truth, and it held back a lot of people's ascensions. I mean, even though I think it has this ability to kind of pull back. I'm seeing pull back like a slingshot and then, because that's kind of what it did to me. I said before that if you visually see me approach this giant ice wall, I'm like, ooh, what's this big ice wall? And then it's almost like a big trap door, like a big spring that goes bang and just shot me right over it without any warning. I was like, ah! That's what it was kind of like. So I don't know. But like I said, I just have to do what's right and what feels right for me. I'm not doing it with maliciousness. It's a necessity. There's a big mess now. And it has a lot of people very confused. So I don't know. Maybe this is my piece of the puzzle, like I said at the end of my book. And well, I guess that's part of my mission, why I was created. Because I said that before. If I wasn't supposed to be this way, the creator wouldn't have made me this way, you see? And that's why it's kind of weird. Well, I suppose it's because they just don't understand that when people are throwing harm. Anyway, that's for another day. Or people are going to blame all this on the weed. Yeah. I've thought about all of it, but I'm being honest. I'm not making it up, I'm not exaggerating, you know. Like, there isn't anyone I would choose over Claudio. Not even Henry Cavill. Henry can clean the fucking pool. And I wouldn't even look at him. So, Henry can clean the fucking pool. Of the next door neighbors. Away from me. Okay? So, I don't mean to make it weird like that. Because, like, I don't like Henry Cavill like that. I don't just go around having random crushes. I just said, he looks pretty good as the Witcher. But that doesn't mean that I'd like to have sex with him, or make love, or like be with him, or in any kind of sense, you know. So I'm just kind of rambling now because I kind of feel awkward that I finally talked about this. I always wanted to. I just really want people to know that there's more to this life than just this shit. Like going to work, going to school, doing all this stuff. You know what I mean? But there's more. It's just a shame that such a mess has been made of things. There's people every day waiting for disclosure to happen. Yeah. But I truly believe that if we unify together, not for money, not for power, not to take down somebody else in these kind of ways. Nothing with that. Has to be pure of heart with the right intent. You can move the golden age of truth forward and bring it into the now. But that's why it's never come. Is because I realize that very few of us are truly speaking the truth. Or we're hiding behind stories and versions of us that are not real. Like I said, those people did not need to make embellishments. What they are is good enough. The Creator made them that way. So, with that, I've recorded another 2-hour video. I'm not posting the other 2-hour video. Like I said, I'm cutting it up into parts, like my video, that's the long one, but I'm not going to post it at 2 hours. That's too long. So we'll have to see about this one. This one, I won't have to do any like editing where I'm not going to be putting any pictures. I might put subtitles, quite possibly. I don't know. But yeah, please have mercy on me and be gentle. I mean, you are always welcome to have constructive criticism, ask questions, and we can talk about things openly and respectively. I had a mental tennis match this morning with someone who I just won't be engaging with any further at this point because it's just a waste of my energy, but I really gave it my best shot. So, yeah. I hope I really got everything across because this shows you a lot about the dreams and subconscious, you know? Even if we are to interpret those dreams that I had in different ways. Although this video is already too long, so I won't do that today, but you know, at least I know that men like that exist now, you know? Magical men like that. I didn't actually think there was. So, I know that kind of sounds funny, right? Because, yeah, I'll stop there. There is a definite energy difference between Corey Good and Claudio Nocelli, for absolute sure. Absolutely for sure. Sometimes I feel sadness in Claudio, and I wonder why he never smiles. I don't want him to be sad. So, with that, I'm going to go and do something else. But I'm glad that we could finally have this talk. I really hope and have faith that it has positive results, but I'm aware of the risk. I am. But nothing within me says that I shouldn't. So, that I shouldn't post it, that I shouldn't talk about it now, like maybe before it wasn't time, I don't know. But, yeah. So there I've done it. And that's why, like, I said the other night, you know, that I'm just done with men. Well, yeah, everybody except Claudio. So if he doesn't want anything to do with me, then I'm done with all men. I should have clarified. Marv agrees. All right, well, me and my awkward ass are gonna go somewhere else now. I deeply apologize if this was uncomfortable for you. I really tried to make it not. So, okay. Well, thanks for listening. Take care, everybody.